The World Bank says commodity prices that have reached historically elevated levels because of the war in Ukraine will remain high through the end of 2024. The agency's Commodity Markets Outlook report, released today, says energy prices, food and fertilizer have sustained the largest commodity shock since the 1970s. Non-energy prices, including agriculture and metals, are projected to increase almost 20% in 2022. They will then moderate in the following years. The World Bank adds that a prolonged war or additional sanctions on Russia could boost prices even higher and make them more volatile than currently projected. This comes as cooking oil prices continue to rise, adding another pinch to households and businesses around the world. Well, with us now to discuss the implications of these rising food prices is Dr. Sylvain Charlebois, Senior Director of the Agri-Food Analytics Lab at Dalhousie University. Dr. Charlebois, welcome back to Forum Daily.
Well, thank you.
Now, we mentioned prices are rising for food, fertilizer, and fuel, but this isn't really new news amid the war in Ukraine and the pandemic. So has the recent World Bank report highlighted anything new from what experts have been predicting for some time now?
Well, I mean, it's really confirming what we all feared, really. Unfortunately, this is going to drag on for quite some time. Of course, nobody knew exactly how long the conflict would last. We're likely going to miss this year's production cycle with Ukraine and sanctions against Russia. And so that really takes out a lot of products and, of course, fertilizers necessary for farmers to actually grow more food, especially here in North America. So overall, the entire world is really has been destabilized by this conflict, unfortunately. So we started the conflict with this COVID hangover. Supply chains have actually struggled, and that we were expecting that to last maybe 6 months to a year. If you add the Ukraine conflict onto that mess, of course, you're looking at least 2 years, which is exactly what the World Bank is saying today.
And it's interesting that you mentioned fertilizer costs and how they're interconnected with the Canadian agriculture industry. How does that translate to prices in the grocery stores?
Well, so many people wouldn't think about fertilizers when they walk into a grocery store, but it has a huge impact. The more you produce, of course, there's less pressure on markets, and of course, manufacturers can actually buy cheaper ingredients to make the food we all buy every day. The thing that most Canadians don't know is that Canada really contributes to unaffordable fertilizers with both Mosaic and Nutrien working together through Canpotex. And Canpotex really is the agent which represents both companies to get the best price possible. So the system we have in Canada for fertilizers actually inflates fertilizer prices around the world, not just for Europe or Asia, around the world, because the fertilizers we buy in Canada, well, prices are influenced by world markets, and we're part of the world market. So I think this is something we're going to have to tackle at some point as Canadians.
And on top of all of this, we mentioned cooking oil prices have also been rising. So what are the main types of cooking oil implicated, and what are they used for?
So in today's report with the World Bank, they actually did discuss the issue of vegetable oils, which is actually an important issue. We're starting to see countries hedging against what's happening right now. So Indonesia decided to halt exports of palm oil, and so you may say, well, yes, Nestle and Ferrero Rocher and Mondelez will be impacted by having access to less palm oil, but that's going to put a pressure on all vegetable oils around the world, including olive oil, for example, and other types of oil that is needed to do everything we do, both in food service and food retail. So that's we're expecting more of these decisions to happen in the next while as nations unfortunately start to protect their own as much as possible against what's happening everywhere.
All right, Doctor, just about 45 seconds left here, but I guess the big question here would be, when can consumers expect some relief from these rising prices?
I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon, to be honest. If the current inflationary cycle were a baseball game, we're basically probably starting the second inning right now. So we have a long way to go. And again, going back to, I absolutely agree with today's report coming from the World Bank. We're in this for a while. So look for coupons, look at your flyers as much as possible to save money.
A long way to go indeed. Dr. Charlebois, thank you again for joining us today on Forum Daily.
All right. Bye-bye.